Welcome back to another episode of Design on Purpose. It's a little bit of a tradition for me to actually do the first episode of the season. And we are now entering into season 4, would you believe? Just completed season 3, and honestly, I'm so happy that we got here because it's quite an achievement to get to 4 seasons of a podcast. And when I say season, it's 10 episodes. It's currently being filmed here in Bali, Indonesia. I'm currently in Tabanan, here in the rice fields. I've been cruising around here all day trying to find a good spot to do the podcast. I'm covered in mud. I've got muddy feet, muddy legs. I've been walking around in these rice fields. You've got to be very careful where you step out here because you can end up with your foot in a bit of mud. So I've been cruising around. I've been scooting around this really beautiful area here, and I've actually been very blessed to find this little spot here where these builders here are working on this building site. Just actually let me sit here and record with this really beautiful view in the background. If you're not watching on YouTube and you're looking at the Spotify, I definitely recommend checking out the YouTube so you can see this beautiful background that I have going on here. So I just wanted to give a little bit of an insight into kind of like where I've come from the last solo podcast. I think the last solo podcast I did was 8 months ago, and I recorded that one from Bang Tao Beach in Phuket in Thailand. And I was in a very different place in my life back then. I'd just kind of gone through really big transformation. I'm continuing to go through this transformation. We're always changing and growing, but right now if you have a look at the video of me back then in Thailand, you can see how different I look now here today. I've done a lot of work on myself, been continuing to work on my health and my fitness, my nutrition, getting into kettlebells, changing my life, working on my myofascial stuff, my mobility, and just generally, deepening my work into my purpose and my life, and making a lot of changes, and it's really, really showing in every aspect of my life. So where have I been since in the last 8 months? What have I been doing? Well, I obviously am now in Bali, Indonesia. So I left, I think I mentioned in that podcast, I think it's episode 26, I left Bali, and I left Thailand and I went to Bali, and I actually had a client project lined up in Sydney that was supposed to be starting in August of this year, but the project got pushed back. So I thought, okay, well, I'll head over to Bali, Indonesia, and I'll be in between Thailand and Australia. And if the project, or when the project goes through, I'm breaking up the flight. It's halfway, so I'll pop over there. So projects kept getting pushed out, and I've just stayed in Bali. And I didn't realize what I would find in Bali when I got here. But I've just been having the most amazing time. I've met so many young people working on businesses, doing the same thing, working on their health, basically just working on getting themselves into a better physical state, mental state, getting their business going. And I'm really loving all the collaboration and all the really awesome stuff that's been going on since I've been here in Bali, Indonesia. And it's just an amazing place. A lot of digital nomads, a lot of creativity, a lot of unique businesses, a lot of tech, a lot of deep tech stuff, a lot of people working in the coaching businesses, online stuff, building school communities, a lot of crypto, people in the crypto space. That's a very interesting topic right now. Having great conversations with some of the guys that are going through that stuff. All these builders are like looking at me now out here with my with my microphone. I think it's pretty funny. Anyway, so it's been really amazing. I've really loved it. And I've been here now since June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So like 6-7 months pretty much. And I think I'm going to stay here indefinitely. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing here. And you would have noticed that the podcast, I've been kind of trickling them out. I was trying to get out one podcast a month. And I just think, like, if I'm really going to be serious about this podcast, if I really, really want this podcast to work, then I really believe that what I actually need to do is I actually need to publish a podcast a week. And so, this is something that I've been really kind of like thinking about for myself. I'm like thinking about if I was to focus on 3 things next year, like what actually would they be? Like, and what of the things outside of those three things would be considered a side quest? And I want to stay away from side quests next year. And I think this podcast has a lot of potential. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Do you enjoy this podcast? Is there anyone that you think I should interview? Do you like where this is going? Because I have a vision for where this thing could go, and I think it's very unique what I'm doing here. I really want to push this whole remote podcasting. I like to find beautiful locations. I'm always improving the podcast. I'm doing everything that I can to improve the experience, obviously investing in audio equipment. Last time that I recorded this solo podcast, I had this whole big mixer thing. I had all these, seriously, I had so much, it took up so much space in my bag, all the gear that I had. And now I'm kind of like minimizing. I'm getting myself a bit more mobile, and I can pretty much record any podcast now remote without any battery. So it's pretty epic. And I'm really starting to see where this could go. I have released the last 2 weeks. I've released episodes consecutively, 1 a week. So there was Theme Rains. Then I released one with Will Adamy, and then there's going to be this one, and then I've got another 3 that I've already recorded, and 2 of those are already scheduled for the next consecutive week. So what I'm trying to do is get these things going out every week. It's a really big it's a really big feat to get a successful podcast. I think I was looking up some statistics the other day. I've got them written down here. I think actually 99% of podcasts pretty much fail. So the odds are actually not stacked in your favor for podcasting. I think people like the idea of starting a podcast. So here it is. It takes on average 2 years and 100 episodes to actually build a successful podcast and see results. And most podcasters quit before they see the results. And I think before you start seeing results, so 93.48% of podcasters quit before that point. Only 6.52% of podcasts, of the ones that continue, reach 100 episodes. So this is now episode 31. I've recorded up until episode 34, and then I've got 35 recording next week. So I've actually starting to build up a nice momentum and rhythm. I've also created a lot of really good systems around the podcast that are helping me get out those podcasts reasonably quickly now. So let's see how we go. I'd like to get to 100 episodes at least. Let's see if I can do that in 2025. And if you guys have got any advice or any suggestions on where I should go or who I should interview. I am remote. I can be anywhere in the world. I could be there and bring my setup and do a podcast with anyone around the world in any place. No power required. And this last 8 months since the last solo pod, I have been really getting really focused and getting really clear about my life, the things that I want to do, where I want to spend my energy, who I want to hang out with, and what I want to be doing with my time. And what I'm finding is that through this creating space and just being on my own, I'm starting to get a lot of clarity. So the things that I'm going to be working on next year are going to be this podcast. I've also started releasing a weekly podcast called The Captain's Log, which is just pretty much my weekly vlog. So it's 5 things that went well, and it's 3 things that I learned that will help me make better decisions the following week. So I'm just kind of documenting my process and kind of sharing with you guys what it is I'm actually how what I'm learning, and I'm sharing those learnings with you. And it's a really nice process for me to actually just keep, like a running journal and a way for me to actually reflect on my learnings throughout the week. Because when you reflect on your learnings, they really help you to integrate those learnings and take those on as knowledge. You don't really embody knowledge and wisdom until you actually integrate the learning. So through that process of actually writing things down and then sharing that through a weekly captain's log on my Captain Rix Lee YouTube channel, I'm starting to actually embody a lot of that knowledge because I'm actually taking the time to reflect. So I'm going to focus on this, the podcast, and then I've also got a school community called The Leadership, which is now open as well for if you want to jump on board to that, because we're going to be teaching a lot around purpose-led leadership, helping leaders to navigate change and uncertainty, because that's kind of like where we're headed with the world and what's going on around with all this change and all this increase in complexity and technology and all this stuff that's going on around the world with AI and all of it. It's just it's a crazy time to be around. I mean, gosh, have you guys seen all this stuff that's going on in New Jersey with all these orbs that are appearing and all this drone stuff that's going on? I mean, if we thought the last 3 years was weird, I think 2025 is going to be like, hold my beer, you know what I mean? So like, strap yourself in. I think it's going to be a very interesting ride the next 12 months. So that's my focus. So the school community, design on purpose, and the Captain's Log podcast. And I'm just going to continue to focus on my health. I think the big learning that I've had this last 8 months or so has been around actually creating anchor points for health and well-being. So I have completely changed my lifestyle. I've completely changed the way that I, structure my day. And I've created these points in my life which are very important to me, that are like healthy little anchor points that help me keep my mental state and my clarity and my focus together. And what I've been doing there is I used to love to go out and have a beer to de-stress and have all these really unhealthy habits. I was surrounded by kind of people that weren't super healthy either. Unhealthy community and whatever. I had a lot of responsibility on me. I think I surrounded myself with people that didn't tend to take responsibility for themselves. I felt like a lot of pressure was on me to actually keep things moving and build and keep vision. And, I've just now put myself in a situation where I'm really just focused on myself, doing really nice work with a very select number of clients. I'm not actively going out looking for client projects. I'm basically learning to limit what I let in and just take on less. And I'm finding that through restructuring this, and I'm not saying that I don't work much or that, I'm having like I'm kicking back and I'm on holiday mode because I'm in Bali. That's certainly not the case at all. I actually work very, very hard and, I put in a lot of hours, but I'm just being very efficient and very selective about where I put my time and who I spend my time with, and also making sure that I do in my day that there's things that I'm doing that are healthy things, such as eating well. I have a very structured eating plan at the moment. I'm on a nutrition plan at the gym. So I eat at 9 a.m., I have a meal at 1 p.m., I have a shake at 3 p.m., and I have my dinner at 6 p.m. And I eat the same thing for breakfast every day. It's 6 egg whites and spinach in an omelette or scrambled. And I'm living this kind of like discipline with all these anchors and structure, which is actually giving me a lot of freedom and a lot of creative freedom, because there's a lot of stuff that I don't really have to think about. Because it's just kind of like planned and automated, and also because I'm eating well and I'm being healthy, I am, I've got the energy and the sustenance and the mental clarity to be able to make good decisions and to do good work and to, focus my energy in the right places. So life is good. Life is really good in Bali, and I feel like a completely different person to I was a year ago. It has now been 1 year since I left for Thailand. If you go back to episode 26, you'll see my story about how I ended up in Thailand. But I was there training martial arts, MMA, jiu-jitsu, and I was in Thailand, and I got the message to go to Thailand, and spent some time there training really hard. I mean, now I'm not training as hard as I was when I was in Thailand. Now I'm kind of more dialing in my nutrition and a lot more mobility. I'm still doing the kettlebells. I still haven't been able to get back to jiu-jitsu because I'm still healing this cut on my leg that I got at Songkran. I fell down 2 flights of stairs at Songkran and sliced my leg open. And it's just taken ages to heal. You got to be really careful of wounds out here in a tropical environment because they take a long time to heal. So I'm kind of been dealing with that. It's still healing. That was in April. It's just kind of closing up now. So it's been a process, but I'm still been doing kettlebells. I sauna every day. I get in the ice bath. I do my hot cold therapy. I find that really helps me sleep well, to finish my evening with a sauna, whether it's an infrared sauna or a traditional sauna. I'm really loving that as one of my daily rituals. And I just interviewed a guy, welcome Felipe, who's got a cafe in Canggu called Mimpi. And he had like a spray on his wall, and it said, the daily ritual is mandatory, and and I really, really believe that to be true. I've got these anchor points or these daily rituals that I find really help me. And, maybe that's something to consider. It's like, what are the things that you can do each day that can help you be stable? Because we are entering this whole crazy world of fast pace and, dramatic change and everything. Like, I think it's going to be more and more important as we go to actually have these anchor points that you can put in your life that will create certainty in a world of uncertainty. And I wrote a little post the other day, and because I was thinking about this, and I think the only thing that you can really be certain about these days is the uncertainty of tomorrow. So be certain today of the uncertainty of tomorrow, because tomorrow is definitely uncertain. The rate of change and all the complexity and everything that's going on. I mean, Sam Altman just announced that they've just cracked AGI the other day. So that's artificial general intelligence. So we are entering a world where we're going to have all these computers and technologies, supercomputers, everything. are going to be way smarter than any human being with any of the logic that they can apply. So it's pretty wild, the world that we're about to enter, and I don't think that it's something that any of us human beings have ever been prepared for. So the only thing that we can really do to prepare for it is to be able to build the tools and the resources and be able to work internally for us to be able to navigate the change and navigate a world where everything is very uncertain. So I feel like there's going to be a huge epidemic. I mean, there already is with mental health and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, we each as individuals need to do the things that we can do to stay healthy, keep ourselves grounded, and keep ourselves, you know, feeling, I think grounded is the word, but just do the work to deal with what's going on internally, and also in how we actually choose to respond to the change, because the stress that's going to be coming, that's surrounding us, you know, we don't actually, it's not us that actually, it's not stressful what's happening around us. There are stresses, but it's how we choose to respond to those stresses that's going to impact how we feel day to day. So I think this is something that's going to be becoming more and more and increasingly important as we move through the next years. So, you know, hold on to your seats. So I've just taken a few notes here. So let me just pull these up for you guys. But, you know, if you haven't seen any of these new podcasts, definitely, you know, if you haven't seen them, just check them out. There's some good ones there. I've done a few this year, but I really want to ramp it up next year. I've got some really cool ideas of people I can interview and things I can do with the podcast. I'm really enjoying it. I've cleaned up the YouTube channel. The channel's looking really good. The thumbnails are looking really good. The audio quality is improving, obviously. I hope this video turns out. The camera is about to die, I can see, and I actually brought the wrong cable to charge the thing, so I might have to flip over to my iPhone soon, so the camera might change mid. There's always one little thing with each podcast that I got to sort out, and that's actually one thing I wanted to talk about, is that I started doing these captain's logs things, and the captain logs were, like I mentioned before, they're like my weekly diary, things that I learned and things that went well, and they're nothing. I just put them out. No one's ever going to probably see those things. They're just really for me. They're actually for me to just share my learning, and they've been really valuable in how I've actually learned how to do all of this stuff and actually how to ship something quickly. Because what I was finding was that I wasn't getting the learning. The learning that happens is in between the posting. And now, because I've been forcing myself to do something weekly and ship a podcast weekly, I've gotten very, very fast at it. I've designed all these AI prompts that help me kind of put the podcast together and do all the bits and pieces in terms of post-production. I've created a lot of template Premiere profiles and everything. So basically, I just copy and paste a folder. And I've also started working, or I've built this second brain in Notion, which is probably something that I should share with you guys too, because that's something I've been working on the last few months. And this camera now is telling me the battery's dead, so this might die, and then I'm going to flip over to my phone. So if that happens, I'll just pause. I'll put my phone on that tripod, and I'll be right back with you. The video quality might change, the video might change a little bit, but I'm still with you, and I've just changed the camera. So this what I've been learning is that you have to actually do the thing to learn the thing. So my capoeira master used to say this to me. It's like, Rix, if you want to learn capoeira, you got to play capoeira. And it's so true. A lot of the time we don't start things because we think that we don't know how to do the thing. So we spend all the time researching and working out how to do the thing, and then we don't actually do the thing because we're learning how to do the thing. But the way to learn how to do the thing is to do the thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like these podcasts aren't perfect. There's always something that goes a little bit wrong with each one. And I'm gathering that if I just keep going, next time I have to double, triple check that I've got the right cable for the camera. It's definitely not here. And lighting's another thing. Sometimes the lighting's out, or sometimes the audio gets a little bit funky, but I'm kind of solving that problem. So hopefully this sounds crystal clear for you guys. So you got to do the thing to learn. And you can't, you're going to learn by shipping, getting it out there, and then doing the next thing. Taking the learning and doing the next thing. One of the most profound things that I learned in the last couple of months, or I noticed, is that the word learned has the word earned in it. I wrote it down on a Post-it note, and it kind of blew me away. I was like, wow, the word learned has the word earned in it. So you actually have to earn the knowledge, the challenge that you go through, the obstacle that you have to overcome to get to the other side, where you get the learning, when you apply the thing and you get the learning. You've earned that because you've overcome that challenge, or you've overcome that obstacle, and you've now embodied that knowledge because you've had the learning. So you've earned it. You haven't embodied the knowledge if you got to go through those processes again and actually learn the learning again. Sometimes the universe will do that. They'll keep serving out the same lesson until we get the picture. But there's a reason why the word earned is in the word learned, because to learn is the lesson, and to have experienced the challenge and gone through that and got to the other side and you've overcome that thing, you've earned that learning, you've earned that lesson. So I just thought that was really, really cool. Something that I learned I noticed that the last couple of months. And what else can I tell you guys? This podcast, I've got a vision for this podcast, you know. I really like the fact that I'm capturing people in their environment. So the podcasts, they used to be in the studio. They used to be in Workplace Studio. And with this little kind of environment that we made that was, you know, it used to be our garden shed. We remade the garden shed inside our house. And that was where the podcast was. It was in our place in Murwillumbah, New South Wales, near Byron Bay in Australia. And now that we're out, I always thought that environment was like what made the podcast. And so there was a lot of resistance for me to actually get moving with the podcast again because I didn't have the cool environment. But actually, we live in a very cool environment, you know, the world that, like, there's so many cool spots I could go and do podcasts and do them outside and capture people in their actual environment. You know, like this one that I just did with Welcome Felipe. It's him sitting on his little pink couch in his cool funky space, and that guy looks he's got such a unique look about him. You know, it's such a cool thing to do to actually capture someone in their environment because it really speaks to the design methodology that I really believe in, is that we create our environment and our environment creates us. So I love talking to these people about their life, you know, the changes that they've made in their life, you know, where a lot of these people had come from the matrix, you know, burnt out, and now they've dramatically changed their life and they're living a life of purpose, building businesses and building lifestyles around their purpose. And, you know, it's very interesting to see the environments that people are creating. And I mean, I definitely feel like the environment that I've been creating for myself in, you know, the fact that I've put myself in a very controlled environment for the meantime so that I can really grow and develop as a person. I can take away all the noise, anything that doesn't serve me, anything that's a distraction. So I put myself in a very controlled environment with my meal plan. I'm at this gym every day. You know, I'm only between my home and the gym, or if I go out to do a podcast, but I really live a very regimented and very, you know, kind of methodical life at the moment, which is actually giving me a lot of freedom and a lot of creativity. So it's just really interesting hearing everyone's story and how they've kind of gone through and they've actually started designing their life and their business to kind of suit them and this new version of themselves and who they want to become, and using their business to become a medium to inspire others. It's like an artistic process. You know, business is art. It's actually a medium to be able to extend your purpose to the world and to be able to impact others and include others in your purpose. That's really how I see business, and that's really kind of like what I would like to build. You know, with my online community, the leadership is actually to build a community for people to actually learn how to build a life and business around purpose and build a healthy life, a life that actually, you know, supports you to be healthy, happy, and fulfilled. So that's really what I'm about, and that's really, you know, what I'm hoping to. Well, no, not what I'm hoping to. That's what I'm going to be really focusing on in this next 12 months. You know, those three things that I told you about, and I really do urge you to think about it. Like, what are the three things that you're going to focus on next year, and what is a side project or a side quest? You know, side quests are never good in video games. We don't want side quests. So what are the side quests that you're going to say no to? And what are the three things that you're going to focus on 100% with all of your energy, intention, passion, love, purpose? Because what I have learned this year is that, you know, this time last year I was 83 kilos. I was swollen. I was full of cortisol. And what I have learned this year is it's not these big movements or these big plays that actually make the change in our life. It's actually it's about being consistent. It's about small little, things every day that compound and build interest on those healthy things. It's not it's not the big things that you do that are going to make the difference. It's actually sticking to something consistently every day over time, changing habits, changing lifestyle. That's actually going to make the difference in your life and actually going to change your life. I've really noticed that this year with my health and my well-being. The life I live is probably quite boring to a lot of people. I work a lot. I write a lot. I read a lot. I do client work. I make stuff. I build systems. I do podcasts. I'm editing videos all the time. I train. I sauna. I don't really socialize too much. I literally just this is my life. I spend most of my time on my own. If I'm at the gym, sure, I socialize a little bit, but a lot of the time I'm actually just working on the thing. I know that if I just keep doing these little micro things consistently over time, I'm going to build momentum, and I've seen that with my health. And I think that if I treat the podcast with the same attitude that I've treated my health and my training, this last 12 months, and I think that with my podcast, I'm going to have huge success. I really believe it. I think there's a lot of potential here. I really enjoy doing this, and I hope you guys can tell. I do meet a lot of really interesting people with a lot of value to share and a lot of really interesting things to talk about. And it's fun. So I get really excited about this. When I think about the podcast and when I'm in the zone with the podcast, I'm excited. I'm having a great time. I'm really enjoying what I'm doing here. So that's the consistency is a big thing. I think that another thing is around organizing my thoughts and organizing my thinking with systems. And so, like I mentioned earlier, I've been building out second brains in Notion. So I've been studying this PARA method by Tiago Forte, which is projects, areas, resources, and archiving. And then he's also got this process of actually taking knowledge or things that you find and putting it through a process where you're actually so it's code, right? That's the acronym. So it's capture, organize, distill. Capture, organize, distill, and express. So when you go through those process of gathering information and then expressing it, you can start filtering out large, big bits of information and putting it through a process which you're actually turning it into something where you're synthesizing, taking on the learning, earning the learning, and then shipping it out. So I've been building a second brain template, which I'm actually giving away for free in my school community, which I've been using with some of my clients. I've been testing it. We've been really kind of building it out to be quite robust. I've made a few iterations on it. But that second brain template has really, really helped me to keep organized and to keep all my thinking together and to keep myself feeling centered in this crazy, complex, ever-changing world that we're living in at the moment. And something else that sparked my interest recently has been the DOGE, the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, that's going on with Elon and Vivek in the States. So I've actually been following that story too. If you go over to my captain's log, I actually mapped out in Miro all the government departments and agencies and all the transitions, not the transitions, but all the hierarchy of those departments and agencies, and just for my own knowledge and learning and just kind of showing all the interdependencies between all those departments and agencies. And I'm going to keep following that story as we go. I think it's a really interesting case study. That's a big, big transformation, big change, big complex systems change, and something that I have a personal interest in. So I'll keep tabs on that as well. And that's, is there anything else that I could tell you? I think I'm going to be in Bali for the near future. I do have a lot of really good podcasts coming, guys. So definitely, keep track on those. I think I'm going to release them every Wednesday morning, Sydney time. 5 a.m. Sydney time, Wednesday morning. And then I'm putting the captain's logs out on Monday morning. They're just my Sunday evening little reflections. And I think that's it. If you don't already, like and subscribe. I am trying to grow this channel. So if you don't already, I know a lot of people that there's a lot of, when I look at the data, there's a lot of people that watch this channel that don't actually subscribe. If you are one of those people, then please do subscribe to the channel. It does help me to grow the channel, and it does help me to keep building things, investing in equipment, getting the podcast moving. This is something that I'm going to be putting a lot more energy into in the next 12 months, and I'd like to keep doing that. And the more that I can grow the channel, the quicker I can grow the channel, the quicker I can add more time, more energy, more effort to this project. So if you got this far, thank you very much for listening. Sorry about the camera switch midway through. It's a bit annoying. But it is what it is. I'm learning, I'm learning these learnings as I go through this podcast adventure. I hope you enjoyed the scenery. Beautiful Bali, Tabanan, Bali, Indonesia. Love this place so much. Such a beautiful, beautiful place. And next week, you'll be seeing an episode with Amy Rainbow Skates. She's a professional. She was a UK champion, artistic roller skating champion, and now she's building a really amazing business around her purpose, which is about getting people moving and inspired through roller skating. And she's built an online business teaching people how to roller skate. Can you believe? It's so amazing. Such a cool person. And then the following week we've got Martin Mastermind. So that one's interesting too. Guy building bots, running a one-person company, building bots and getting the whole thing automated with bots and AI. It's pretty wild. So that's it from me. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Follow me on X, Captain Rix Lee on X. Follow me on Instagram, Rix Lee. Do subscribe to all the Design on Purpose channels. And I will catch you guys next week. Thank you very much. Ciao.